Heyo, this is Paleac, and in this video I'm going to do a little track breakdown for my new song called Tangled Snakes. It just came out, and you should go listen to it, and then like it, and then follow me on all of the streaming platforms. Yay. So, yeah, I'm just gonna play from the intro and a little bit of the first drop, and then I'm gonna break down everything that happens, and then just, periodically go through it. So, it sounds like this. Alright, so you get the picture. So the main hook, the bell sounds, basically, which are these guys. Right? I made this basically through resonant clipping, which is the last tutorial video that I did. Now, when I initially did this, I was using MorphiQ and I was following along with Frequent's tutorial because that's where I initially got my idea from. But you get the same results pretty much just using like EQs with really high resonances. So what I did was I had this sample here, which I made like 4 years ago or something. Sounds like this normally. I don't remember how exactly I did it, but I got bubble sounds, I threw them in a granulator. And then what I did was I warped it, and then I stretched it out, and then I pitched it up. I think I just kept it on the either the forward and backwards arrow or the two double forward arrows. Anyways, and then I put on a resonant clipper. I got something like that, and that's how I initially got the sound. So you can kind of hear how I got it. And obviously there's a lot of like processing and shit. I have many different instances of Sooth running, a bunch of EQs working to like reduce and lower the super harsh resonances, as well as like saturators and compression and adjusting width and everything. Yeah, so I created some initial sounds, and then I just chopped them up and pitched them around and got like different variations and stuff. So like this guy here is just like this sound, but pitched up an octave. And, I'm just playing with different warp algorithms. And just using, like, warping methods and warp algorithms, you can create a bunch of different stuff just from, like, a simple source. And then, let's take a look at the drums. The drums are, well, the kick and the snare is pretty basic. And I have some like drum breaks. Right, and then I have some more drum breaks. This one has erosion on it. And then this guy is pretty interesting. I have a sampler set on slice mode, and then I threw a bunch of little glitchy noises in here. And then I also layered that with the same thing, but with simply hi-hats. And then I put erosion with noise on the glitchy dudes. And then now I have what kind of sounds like hats, percussion, a little noisy percussion, but they're very glitchy. And they're tonal. And then down here, this is what initially gave me the idea of, naming it Tangled Snakes, because for whatever reason, listening to this, it gives me the like visual image in my brain of snakes like tangling around each other and ascending and wrapping around and like ascending upwards. And so I made this, I briefly touched on this in the bird calling breakdown, but basically I had some initial sample source, I don't know what, and then I chopped it up using transient mode and put the transient down to 0. And then I consolidated and then did it again a few times, I guess, to make it super clicky. And then I put erosion on it, and then I put a bandpass filter and had the bandpass filter sweep upwards and go upwards through automation. And then I compressed the fuck out of it, and then I flattened it a few times and did stuff like that. So you can hear it. Sounds cool. So yeah, so that's the drums. And then over here, I introduced just a few more like drum break samples. These are just like, I don't know, normally kind of fast drum breaks, and I sped them up or slowed them down. And then that like glitching kind of warp mode stuff sounds really good, I think, with at least this genre and what's going on. Now, the sub bass, I am doing some interesting stuff with it, but it's not too complicated. But essentially, the sub have autofilters essentially wubbing at 1/3 rate right here, and it's causing this interesting movement and stuff. And then every time the kick plays, there is no wubbing. So it's like I basically have the dynamics part of my wonky, dynamic, funky sub bass tutorial thing going, but there's no pitch modulation. I'm just drawing the pitch in with this. What's interesting about this is that later on, when this turns into like eighth notes and stuff and speeds up, I can just like automate what the LFO rate is doing, and then it'll match up and sync up, and sounds cool. Yeah, and then finally, I have these little glitchy fills that go on throughout the entire song. So this, I basically show how to do exactly this in my very first video on my YouTube channel called like Tipper Squelches tutorial or something. And basically I'm using multiple spellbooks that are mapped to parallel bandpass filters, and also as well as the pitch of a sawtooth wave. And so I can move the spellbook around, and then it's going to move, you'll see the pitch moves as I move these parameters on the spellbook, and then all these different parameters control different aspects of the spellbook. And I can have pseudo randomness to create interesting variations really easily. So have that sound. I can also just change the input direction. Stuff like that. And so, yeah, basically all this made from those techniques. And then I have what is really like, I wouldn't pay too much attention to all this. It's kind of like convoluted for the sake of, God, I hate that profile picture. It's convoluted for, I don't know, just the sake of it. But basically, I have an auto filter and an auto pan, and then the phase of them are being fucked with this LFO. And it can create like some interesting patterns and stuff. And then that's just being layered with the normal, this is like a dry wet, you know, just like parallel with the normal signal, and this creates just some like panning and movement. And then that gets layered as a fill. And then finally, up here, so as I said, the sub bass goes into like eighth notes and starts wubbing really fast. And then I introduce these wubs. Now, these wubs originally came from this sound. I don't remember exactly how I made this, probably just with like, you know, parallel bandpass filters and sawtooth waves moving around. Again, you can create so many different sounds and variations just with those simple techniques. And then I took that sound and then just stretched it out a bunch and then added a auto filter with the LFO on. Right. And then as the volume gets lower, or as the frequency gets lower, the volume's going to get lower and then end up compressing it more. So like it gets deeper and more aggressive. And then the way that it comes back up, as well as the little filled squelchy dudes that I use down there, creates this cool like opening back up, scratching vinyl effect. And then while they were on 16th notes here, and then here they turn into 12th notes. So we get like triplets, and then I do the same thing with the sub pattern. And I do the exact same thing, same things before, but then I just pitch it down an octave. That's like the easiest thing you can do to create like variation for different sections of your song. It's like a little bit cheesy, but it works and it's satisfying, you know? It's like, oh, here's the main melody, and then, oh, here's the melody an octave lower, it's deeper, more intense, gnarly, wow, and I don't know, it sounds good, so. And then you'll notice also, as this like little fill scratching thing happens, I use Bit Crush. I don't know where. There's so much shit going on. Yeah, I use Redux to like collapse and destroy the initial signal, and then I bring in this guy, but then pitch lower an octave, which is just signifying to the listener, hey, we're doing the lower octave thing that I just described. Are you ready for it? Wow. So there's also way more layering going on than just this guy. Yeah, that sounds cool, but... So I have right here, that guy, and then... These are more squelches, I guess. I'm using the exact same techniques as I described with the little squelch fills at the bottom of the project file. And then I have more shit down here. Where are you? This guy. I'm trying to remember what I did for this. I think I'm using like disperser. I'm using Melda Freeform Phase right here on the initial resampled wub sounds, and then you can like draw your own dispersion phase thing, and then you can adjust the depth to get like... So like if I do this, you can create your own little dispersion thing, which sounds cool. And then all of this is getting layered together, or these. There's more variations. I have like different variations of the disperser effects. One's pan left, one's pan right. Creates very slight width. I don't know. And then... Oh, more shit layered. I don't even know how I made this, I'm gonna be honest, but, you know, you can imagine. It's just all resampling of the initial stuff, and then I have auto pans and stuff wubbing at like 12th notes, 16th notes, etc. for when everything else is to make it sound good. Now, yeah, this took a while and a lot of trial and error. Oh, and I also have white noise that sounds like this. Which I don't really know how it's increasing. Oh, here you can see. So it starts off, you know, quiet and muted, and then the high end increases towards the end. And it does that because the initial wub is lowering in frequency as time goes on with the autofilter. So as this thing goes down, then the high end from the white noise comes in, and it just keeps the frequency spectrum filled out. Yeah, so as you can tell, I spent a really long time trying to get the wubs to sound good. It just didn't sound right for a really long time. I'm sure it could still be cleaned up, but it works for the song. You know, I had to release it eventually. It sounds good enough, I think. But yeah, so that's how I did the wubs, and I think for the most part... What are these? Just more random shit in the background. I don't remember how I made these, gonna be honest. But it sounds cool. I don't even know if you can really hear it. You can kind of hear the like trailing end here. I don't even know if that needs to be in it. Probably just makes the project sound a little bit more muddy, but oh well, it's done. So yep, that's the first half of the song. Then we have a breakdown here. The breakdown, really simple. I just like get rid of all I filter out all the drums. So if I find the drums here, you see how this audio effect turns on this erosion here. And then I just have these things automating for the filters to open up and close and whatnot. And I have only the bells playing for the most part in the background, and I have a bunch of different risers. So I have like that guy playing, I have this dude. These are just like random glitchy noises I made, and then I have a shifter, the LFO on the shifter opening up over time to get like more wacky. And then probably some like white noise riser somewhere, I think. Maybe? Yeah, this is just like a bunch of filters with LFOs and stuff moving around, I think, on the initial sound source. So yeah, I just have a bunch of filters, and then I slowly open up the drums. The drums are in double time. I'm introducing like these guys. So just like adding little bits and squelches and stuff. And then it just plays the exact same thing as the 1.2 section, but with double time drums. Oh, I think the bell sounds. Where are the bell sounds? Yeah, and have the bell sounds playing again. Oh yeah, I must have flattened it. But I had a shifter also pitch bending this. As you can see, it's like going up and down a little bit. That creates variation, and I have filters and stuff opening up on it. So yeah, nothing special going on there. Some variations in percussion and stuff, and I'm like opening and closing the auto filters on the bells a little bit differently. Like, yeah, you can see I have this pattern here. So, you know, some variation and stuff to make it open up at different points. Sounds more interesting. And then here... So you'll notice at the end of this phrase, again, I use bit crush to like destroy the initial signal to say, hey, new thing's happening right now. And then these sounds, I go over it a bit in my Tipper Squelches tutorial at the very end. I show a demo of this exact song, this little part here. But essentially I have, again, same thing as the little squelch fills at the bottom. I have spellbooks controlling hyperparameters, controlling autofilters, and pitch bending controls. And then that's followed by like a shit ton of like saturation and widening and filters and soothe and all sorts of stuff. And then that goes into like other chains that has like compression, getting clipped, etc. Just like a lot of really subtle stuff to like boost the signal in a large chain. But for the most part, it's just squelches. It's just being pitch bent and stuff. You can see all the automation here. Automation is kind of nutty. There's like a lot going on. But for the most part, these are all just different ways to move the spellbook around, which controls the squelches. So you can see if I move spin offset over here, it's going to play something different. So you can create variations super duper easily. You can just move like 1 or 2 parameters around once you already draw a lot of the automation in, and then yeah, you can create all sorts of variations. So I could probably make a VIP of this song like super easily, which I should probably do. And then like my workflow here is pretty great. Like if I just get one good, I'm like, I really like that guy. I could just copy this guy, paste it over here, and then slightly change like the automation. And do stuff like that. So it's just like subtle nudging and changing to shift the sound until I get it moving in a direction I want. And this is just resampled on the same thing. And you can always just look down at the spellbook to see how all these automations are doing it. So I have these dudes going on like offbeat, you know, like a very typical dubstep pattern to make it really headbangy. And these guys is just like the initial giant angry squelch stuff, but with a shifter on it to make it sound a little bit funny and fucked up. So the shifter is just basically working as like a vinyl scratching delay repitching thing. And then I just have that play out, fades out, the drums fade out, and then all you hear are the bells, and then the song ends. So, yep, that's pretty much the song. I'm sure there's some other, like, minor details. Like, did I not do that? Oh, yeah, on like, for instance, on, like, a lot of delays that I have on everything, I have, like, automating an auto pan to also wub. Just, like, tiny mixing things. That doesn't really matter. What really matters is just, like, some of the sound design techniques. So yeah, that's Tangled Snakes. Hope you enjoyed this. Go listen to it on SoundCloud and Spotify and all that stuff. Or maybe even buy it on Bandcamp. Wow, that would be so cool. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that and that you learned something. Yeah, take care.